Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you. Welcome. Welcome back to our Sangha coffee house. Luke Samaya has a cup of tea already. And Simona has a cup of coffee. Okay, Mickey, a glass of water. We have it all. This morning I was chatting with a friend at breakfast. And she said something that made me think. She referred to moments in which she realizes how many blessings are present in her life in that particular moment, But she's not always aware of them. That happens to all of us. And you must have felt it many times, no? There are days that for some reason, wherever you look, you see beauty, no? Maybe you go in nature and you go like, wow. Or you look up at the sky and it looks particularly blue and the clouds look so white on the blue sky and look so beautiful. Yeah. Or maybe you look at people and they all look beautiful. And other days you look around and everybody looks ugly. It's like, who are these zombies? My God. And you don't see the beauty. And you don't see the beauty around you. You look at nature and suddenly, well, okay. Oh yeah, cloud, sky, okay. Not much there. Trees, yeah, they're green, okay. Right? So what's happening there? Why is that so? Because the world is the same, no? It's not that the world changes one day is one thing, one day is another thing. Nature is always what nature is. It's existing in his divine essence. People are always the same. So obviously something in the one that is watching and not in what is watched has changed. Yeah. So the object remains the same. Something in the subject has changed. This is very important to understand because one of the pitfall, one of the traps when we move into meditation is to start thinking that we're doing something to achieve something. Okay, I meditate so that I can get somewhere or get something. So easily the mind goes into trying to achieve an object, a goal. So it's important to understand, always to remember, we're not trying to achieve anything that is not already here. So it's not an achieving because it's already here. We cannot achieve something that is already here. Desire is always for something far away that is not here, right? That is not in this moment. If it's right here in this moment, how can you desire it? It's here. So it's important to understand this, that practice means simply becoming more present so that we can see what's already here. Yeah, it's not a process of, oh, the more I practice, the more I will achieve something. No, no, no. And so when we are present, suddenly the world looks beautiful. Like it's paradise, heaven on earth. It's right here in this moment. When we are asleep, yeah, when we're not present, we cannot see that. We see something else. We see our own, usually we see the projection of our own inner story. Each of us has his own story that keeps going on and on and on. And it's like, it's like a broken record. Yeah. Connected with our identification, with the idea of who we are, with our egoic self, not with our original self, our egoic self. That's what goes around and around like a broken record. So when we're asleep, we just see that. We see that story. We live in that story. And when we look outside, we just project our own story on the outside. When we're present, we're fresh. We don't project anything. We're simply present and awake in what is in this moment. And I'm sure that all of you prefer the second one, the one where you're fresh and present, right? Because the first one is like, oh my God, we're looking at this story. I've been looking at it for 40 years. How much longer do I have to look at this? It's getting tired, no? I'm getting tired. It's boring. Over and over and over, the same old story. So we want to step out of that broken record. We want to put the tip of remember when we had the LP and it would get stuck on a groove and then you have to take it and move the tip to a different groove and then, suddenly, oh, thank God. It was driving me nuts, repeating and repeating the same phrase. So it's that kind of a feeling. So when we step out of our story and we become present, it's like, what a relief. And then suddenly everything is beautiful and enjoyable. Yeah. So how do we facilitate that being awake and not asleep? Well, we know that, yeah. We start from the easiest always. So we start, for example, being aware of what's around us, of what we see, of what we touch, becoming aware of the world. And we look at the world with fresh eyes. And we see what it is, what's happening, what is the outer world in this moment. You might see a lot of beauty in people. You might see also zombies, particularly in these days. So don't worry. If you see people that are deeply sleeping and hypnotized, it's not you. It's also in the world right now. So don't take that as a measuring stick. As a matter of fact, the more awake you are, the more zombies you might see around. It's like, whoa, these people are asleep, deep sleep. Yes, that is true. It's not you. So that's not a reference point. But you might also see beauty in people. And definitely when you look at nature, you're going to see a lot of beauty. So we use the senses, right, to look out. We use the senses to hear. We become aware of sounds. That's a beautiful way to become present. Yeah, it's one of the favorite anchors. Listen to sounds with full attention, whatever sounds. It doesn't matter what you listen to. In any moment, wherever you are, listen. Close your eyes, or even with your eyes open, just bring your attention there and listen. Be very quiet and listen. And as the Sufis say, you will hear the voice of God in all those sounds. It's God speaking to you. Any sound will do. It's not what you listen to, but how you listen. Yeah. If you listen with stillness inside and you're very quiet, every sound becomes magical. Even somebody hitting on a hammer, putting a nail on the wall, or a dog barking, or a child crying becomes magical if you are quiet and still inside while you listen. So that's a beautiful way to anchor and use the outer world to bring you to that space of inner stillness, to bring you in the present moment, to make you awake in that moment. So we use the outer world. Yeah. Every moment, everything life brings you can be an opportunity to become present, to awaken in that moment. Any experience, even somebody that insults you on the street, can be a wonderful opportunity to awaken, because you can see. If you're aware enough, you see what's happening. I've been insulted. You can go into the ego and feel hurt and react and get angry, which happens, to all of us. Oh, I'm hurt. Or you can take a little distance and say, wait a second, who is hurt? What is hurt? Really? This person, I don't even know him. He doesn't even know me. He's offending me with some word, but he doesn't know me. I hardly know myself. How can he know me? Right? So you can move into awareness and see what's happening inside of you. It's like, oh yeah, there is some hurt, but you don't say, I'm hurt. Yeah, there is some pain. I am aware of some pain now arising. You don't say, I am in pain though, because that's not correct. So if you are aware enough, you keep saying, I see pain, or I see anger arising. You don't say I'm angry, because that's identification with the object. So if you remain aware, you always say, oh, I see some anger arising. And you watch it and you don't get involved. Yeah, big difference. So everything that life brings you can be an opportunity to awaken. There is a beautiful story of this Zen master, that when he was still a seeker, he was not a master yet. He was on this boat. He loved going on the lake with his boat in the night. And he tells a story where he was like in this night looking at the moon and listening to the sound of the water on the boat. And he was so peaceful and quiet. And he was there with his closed eyes, meditating and feeling completely high and blissful. And at a certain point, while his eyes were still closed, another boat hit his boat. So he toomph, and he felt so much anger. It was like, who is this idiot? The whole lake, it's only us. And he came and hit my boat, He got really pissed off, with just the fire of anger came up. He saw that coming. He opened his eyes ready to tell this guy what an idiot you are. And he looked, And it was another boat, but it was empty. There was nobody in the boat. And so then all this anger could not be expressed because there was nobody there, just the boat. So he closed his eyes again and he went backwards, and he said he brought awareness to what was happening really. And he said he awoken that night, through that, he was able to go backwards and to go back into his real self and not into his egoic self. And that was enough for him to awaken. And then from then on, he became a Zen master, very well known later on. But everything is an opportunity to awaken in the moment. Yeah. So don't discard anything. And also remember, if something is happening to you, usually there is some message in it. So there is something for you to learn from that. Life is very generous with us. It will keep bringing a certain experience until we learn the lesson. If we don't learn the lesson, that experience will keep coming to us. So don't complain. don't enter into the victim role. Oh, why is this happening to me? Shouldn't No. If it's happening, that means there is some lesson for you in there. So use it. Use anything that is happening. Anything that comes also from the outer world to learn something, to awaken. Use it as a tool to go back to your true self. So that's our relating with the outer world. And then once we are well established in that, with the outer world, that relationship with the outer world and how we can be present through that, then we use the same awareness, but even more inward. So I become aware of course, anything that happens inside. Thoughts, above all, mind, emotions, the story, our story. Each of us has his own story that goes around and around. Be very watchful of that. Anytime you start getting absorbed into the story, step out and look, okay, I'm in the story again. But it's just a story. It's not real. There's something much more real underneath. Find that. And this process brings awakening, brings presence. Then the world becomes everything we see, everything we hear, everything we touch becomes a beautiful experience. But nothing has changed on the outside. Something has changed on the inside. We are touching, we are looking, we are feeling from a different space that is real. And so that which is real in us can see, can touch, it can hear that which is real outside of us. Or we could say the truth, our true self, can perceive then the true self, the true universal self. So we could say the individual self, as self with the capital S, can perceive the universal self. And not otherwise, there's nothing else. You cannot perceive the universal self through your ego. That's why we say, yeah, mind is useful to function in the world, but it's completely useless. It cannot perceive the universal self, the divine self. Zero, zit, nothing, cannot. It's not made for that. By your true self, your original self, that's part of the universal self. So of course it can perceive it. It loves it. It's part of itself. That's where those feeling of peace and blissfulness come from. It's the individual self perceiving the universal self. Yeah. So let's sit, keeping this inside of us, and let it sink a little bit more. Find a comfortable position. And be joyful and be happy. You're going to sit with your true self now. You might be sitting with your own story too. That's okay. Just remember it's a story though. And look for what is underneath it. So when you're ready, close your eyes. And we'll start bringing the attention more inward. As we close the eyes, we might become more aware of sounds, because all the energy that would go out of the eyes is going into the hearing very easily. So you might become very aware of the sound of my voice, any other sounds you might perceive from your room or outside your room. Or you might become aware of the silence. Just attentively listen to the sounds, we become very quiet. And we notice the body is also relaxing. So we stay with what is more close to us, the physical body. And we let it relax. We feel it from inside. And make sure every part of the body is relaxed. Feeling the weight of the body. Feeling the contact with the surface of the chair or the cushion of the floor. We are still aware of any sounds that appears and of the silence. A certain stillness that starts descending on the body. Just enjoy that feeling of stillness. Within that stillness of the physical body, we find the movement of the breath. This natural movement that is happening by itself without us having to do anything except becoming aware, more and more aware of all that is present in this moment. Remaining aware that anything that I observe, it's not me. Anything that the witness can look at cannot be the witness. A distance is needed to see something, to see an object, even if it's an inner object. So remaining aware that whatever you're looking at is not you. You are that inner space of consciousness that is perceiving all that. You're the consciousness that is aware of all the clouds that are passing across the sky, the blue sky of your inner consciousness. So therefore, there is no point in identifying with the clouds. You just watch them coming, passing, and going. So if there is a thought, we observe that, but we don't believe in that thought because we know it's not who we are. We are the one that is becoming aware of that thought. keep an attitude of releasing any experience and going back to the source, going back to the center that is perceiving everything. That which is perceiving the experience. Go back to that space again and again. And in that space, there is a sense of peace, a quiet awareness. When for a moment there is no experience, then the surface of the lake is completely still and reflects beautifully what is. And slowly coming back to the group. Good morning, everyone. Now you look more awake. Well, let's open the space if anyone has something to share or wants to ask something. Yeah, Petra.
You know, this morning I just wake up with the same questions. And because yesterday I got a letter from the tax office. And then the first thing in the morning when I woke up, it was, the letter and who knows, yeah. And but then I stop for a moment and then I see it is a beautiful morning and the sun was shining through the trees. And then I was thinking how many times in my life it happened already that there was a beautiful sunny day, and my mind was just crowded with some problem.
Yes.
But until now, I never had the possibility the knowledge. I didn't have the knowledge to make distance.
Mm.
Yeah. And this morning I got it. I just enjoyed the beautiful morning and I left the tax office for later. And then it was nice when you started the session and it was just the same questions and giving me the answer I had in the morning.
Yes, Petra, sorry for the interruption. But yeah, I was listening to you.
Yes, and I was telling this morning I had this possibility to take distance and to
Yes,
observe. Yeah. So
exactly.
probably I think it's also fruit of all our sessions and and sitting together.
Yes,
It helped me a lot.
wonderful.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much, doesn't it? I mean, it's just that little added awareness that allows it to take that little distance, no? And then suddenly it's like, whoa. Then it's almost like in that moment, you take the driver's seat again, instead of your mind, you are taking the driver's seat of your life and you get back in control of your life in that moment. It's such a simple little thing, but it makes such a huge difference. And then you can decide, you know what, I can think about taxes a little later. In this moment, let me enjoy the sun and the clouds and this moment, And then your mind is there when you need it to do your taxes. It will be there. Don't worry. It's not going anywhere, right? But in the meanwhile, you have enough presence to see how it wanted to suck you in. And the mind is very, very tricky because it knows what will suck you in. So If you went to bed thinking about taxes, it knows that this thing will disturb you and will hook you. So he goes back there, meow, like a fly, like he knows where to go, meow, landing on the taxes. Hey, remember taxes. And you get hooked because it's something that is a little bit disturbing you. It's not completed. It needs to be solved,
Shastro is trying to connect with another computer. Wait a moment, it's coming back.
Is the mic on? What a disaster. Okay, guys. Thank God Samaya was here, so I can use her phone. Yeah, I just couldn't do anything. Okay. Let's try to finish this session then. Yeah, thank you, Petra. That was a good sharing. Very important for everybody to notice, wow, I'm slowly taking control of my life through my own awareness. Beautiful thing. Thank you for that. Was there somebody else that wanted to share something? Yeah, Mickey.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Shastro. I want to say something also about what Petra said. I think I've also had a tendency before to let my life situation take away the pleasure of and the beauty of some moments in my life. But lately, I've realized they are just life situations, and that's not me. That's part of the experience I'm having in this life. But these situations will always come, probably till the end of this life experience, and they just a little part, but sometimes we make them like we lose a whole day because you're trying to find solutions, and in fact it's not worth it, because if one thinks of the past, we've always overcame similar situations, so this one will also go away. Yes, and it helped me a lot. Also, like Petra said, our work here really helped me a lot to realize that. So I'm not bugged anymore by if there's the tax a letter from the tax office or whatever. I look at it, and if I don't know what to do, I ask for help, but I'm not bothered by it anymore. So thank you, because it's our work here that made me realize that. And something else that I became aware of, if, for instance, if you're outside and you look at the sky, I don't know, it's for some reason before I didn't think of this, or I didn't become aware of it, but it's blue, but it's not finite. It's not, there's no end to it. It's infinite, and we're part of this. it's it's amazing. So we're part of a vastness, and that's our real self. That's that's who we are. we're not separate from that. We actually, we're part of nature. We're part of all the beauty that surrounds us. That changes everything. And just as it's related in an abstract sense, I've been experimenting drawing things with my non-dominant hand. And what that helps you to realize is you don't need to draw something physical. You draw with feeling. So it's, if you look at a flower and you want to draw a flower, you're not going to try with your non-dominant hand. It's not possible to draw the flower realistically. But if you close your eyes and you feel the flower, you can smell it, and then let your hand just move. It's such a different experience. And it's part of the vastness, if I can say that. It's an life experience, but it's not a life experience. It's something much bigger, something from a different place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope I make myself clear. I'm also always putting up my hand, and then I don't know how to express myself to say what I want to say. But yeah.
No, I'm glad you put up your hand. But put up your non-dominant hand, okay? So, but that's beautiful. It's exactly like that. So what happens, it's basically you're seeking and inviting an experience that is not filtered by your conceptual thinking, you know, which is represented by your dominant hand. So you are shortcutting that and go directly to the experience without filtering it.
Yes. And what's interesting, if, for instance, I've drawn something with my non-dominant hand and I try to replicate that with my dominant hand, it's much less interesting because it's perfect. It's a wonderful experience to do that, and the experience of the image that you try to draw, a flower or a cat or whatever. It's amazing. It's a whole that I can't describe, because it's a whole different experience of that object.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the perception, yeah? So in this case, it's expressed through drawing, but it's exactly the same, the way we perceive things. Am I perceiving it through my thinking mind, or am I putting my thinking mind to rest and I'm just there perceiving what is?
Yes.
And then suddenly it opens a new world, you know, then suddenly the sky looks really blue and it looks very vast and looks infinite, and the clouds looks beautiful crossing the sky, and everything is different, is perceived differently.
Yeah.
So that's the secret key.
And
Very
just
nice.
one more thing that I could, I think I could share with you, is what I've also over a period of time realized is with thoughts. We have thoughts, but honestly, I have much fewer thoughts than I had before. Thoughts about the past or the future, but you can catch them. So when you catch them and you're aware of them, they stop, even if it's just for a moment or two. But now with actions like cooking, or actions that you doesn't require my thinking mind, I can do that and be aware of what I'm doing. And then there are long periods where I don't have thoughts. I'm just aware of what what's happening or what I'm feeling, etc. But I think there are other kinds of, I'm not sure, maybe you could comment on that. I'm not sure if there are thoughts. When we become still, and not necessarily sitting in meditation, but when we still, we get messages, and these messages, I'm not sure if they're not verbal, they're not words, but I often get images, and this is actually it's like your soul is telling you something, and they come back and they come back, and then you realize, well, this must be something important, and they, for me, in fact, I think you all know that I'm doing art journaling, so I draw this in abstract ways, or and I write about it, but also in abstract ways. I write what comes to me, what I call soul writing. And there are certain things that come again and again. For me, I've often written 1,000 forests, and the sound, the music of these 1,000 forests. It's something really not ridiculous, but it's not something true. But it's an experience, and they come again and again. And sometimes also I get, in these still moments, images of places, real places. And I think I've already mentioned, when I came to France, long before I knew I would come to France, I had images of where I live now. But I didn't do anything. It's like I get a message, and then I know sometimes it will materialize, but I don't know when, and I don't care. It's just wonderful. It's a good experience to get these messages. So I don't know if they are false.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll keep quiet now.
Thank you for sharing that, Miki. Yeah, we could call those insights, and it's very important to, mystics always say, look, in the moment you start perceiving truth for what is, it might be something completely different than what you have imagined. Actually, almost 100%, it will be something different than what you could have imagined. So, because we don't really know, it's important not to have expectation and not to interpret, and to just empty ourselves, so that whatever experience wants to arise, even though it makes no sense whatsoever to our thinking mind, we allow that. Yeah. So that's the space where insights might come in the meditation. And for everybody is different. Huh? You might see visually something that will happen, but somebody might just suddenly understand something that it was not clear yesterday, and then suddenly say, oh, well, okay, that's why that happened. Now I get it. Whatever. Everybody has his own ways. But insights do happen, and they come out of the space of not thinking, not expecting anything, not interpreting. We could say a space of innocence.
Yeah.
And so the more innocent we can be, the more truth will manifest itself. And there will not be any filtering from our thinking mind, because we're not expecting and we're not interpreting through the thinking mind. We're just innocently watching. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you stay aware, I think we guide it. we guide it to where we should go. But if we start thinking about it, we're blocking that. You're not so you can't receive those messages because you block it with your thinking mind.
Exactly. Yeah. So very important. Remain innocent, remain empty as much as you can, and don't interpret whatever experience you're having. You know, don't say, "Oh, this is so beautiful. I want to have it again," or "Oh, this I wish it was not happening." Just let everything be as it is without any interpretation, and that's the secret key. Yeah. So I don't see everybody on this. Non vedo tutti questo schermo, è normale?
Sul telefono non so come funziona.
Ah, ok.
Però devi farli.
Anyway, now I see everybody. Yeah. Oh, look, even Aura came. You appeared, Aura. Your video before it was not working.
It was very, my video was on, I wasn't able to hear you. And if I could hear you, I couldn't see you. So I'm like, okay.
It's better to hear me than see me. Definitely in this case. All right, nice to see you though. Okay, guys. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna go see what happened to my computer. It's going crazy. We'll meet here next Friday morning, if you like. Most likely the link will be the same, but I'll resend it to you. Changes will be the same link. Okay, so kisses and hugs to everybody. Namaste.